Heroes are only as good as the villains they need to take down. Hey everyone, Mad Lion here. Welcome back to my second video about tell me what you think about these characters. Just to give a little bit of background in case you weren't here for the first one. So back in June, I popped this graphic up on a community post and said, give me a character and I'll tell you what I think about them, I'll answer all these questions. I've already done one for Mahotsukai no Yakusoku, Mahoyaku, Promise of Wizard. If you want to take a look at that, you can go ahead and check out this video. Today, we are talking about idolish7, which is another franchise that is very near and dear to my heart. I received 5 characters. Oh, that's not the number. Hang on, 5. There we go. There's my whole hand. I received 5 characters for idolish7. Let's see who we got here. From the responses, I got Riku, Nagi, Ryu, Yamato, and I also got Tsukumo Ryo, which is really fascinating, but I don't have a Ryo manju, so Torao, you are going to be cast in the role of Tsukumo, so I have something to squish while I talk. Let's go ahead and get started with our center red, Riku. Riku. Maybe this is the unpopular opinion to start with, but I'm sorry, Riku is not my favorite. I don't dislike him. In fact, I like him a lot, but he's just nowhere near my list of top Ainana characters, and there are so many characters in idolish7. He's still really good though, and I get why people like him. He's got that, you know, neighborhood dog that everyone loves vibe going on. So if you're a Riku fan, awesome. Live your best Riku life. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Riku and Iori, look, I'm sorry, I don't write the laws, I just follow them, and Riku is law. These two are destiny, do not separate. In fact, let's just squish them a bit more. Yay! For this one, it's Toma. Riku and Toma, they're so funny together, especially when Riku seems just completely oblivious to the fact that Toma's trying to be badass, you know? He's just like, yeah, and Toma's grr. I just love how Riku sometimes does not get what Toma's trying to do. Plus, they kind of share that same, you know, neighborhood dog, local dog vibe where you just want to pat them on the head and give them treats. This one because he's always like happy and friendly, and this one because he's grumpy but super cute. When I was reading part 1 way back in the old times, before the pandemic and stuff, and all of the other Ainana characters were saying Riku had the best singing voice, I was kind of like, because he obviously didn't. I mean, I personally thought Tamaki, you know, voiced by Kennu, had the best voice, and I still kind of do. But here's the thing, Ono-ken is the perfect speaking voice for Riku, even if his singing voice wasn't quite where it should have been at the start. And his singing voice has actually really grown into the role now. So I'm glad I chose to suspend disbelief and stick with it and just believe, okay, yeah, Riku has the best singing voice because Ono-ken is really the perfect voice for Riku. Let's move on to our next idol. Nagi! Mr. Nagi! Let's talk about Nagi. Nagi is the sunshine in idolish7, and whenever I'm sad, I listen to his version of Wonderful Octave because it will always make me smile no matter what. Plus, he's the funniest one to imitate at all times. So I'm really glad Nagi has come into our lives. I actually don't have any romantic ships with Nagi. Like, I've never really thought about him being in a romantic relationship with anyone. He just kind of lives his best single weeb life in my mind, and yeah, that's okay, right? Sakura Haruki does not have a manju, and that makes me incredibly sad because I want to put him here next to Nagi. Let's just throw a graphic up there. Nagi and Sakura Haruki's relationship is so precious and so well written. I'm so glad Haruki showed up in Nagi's life and helped him become who he is. Also, yeah, that scene in part 4 of the game, the one that made us all cry, yeah, I was reading it on the train and I cried on the train and I'm really tired of the half Japanese or foreign character is actually royalty trope that is so common in our Josemuke franchises. It's everywhere. It's in idolish7, it's in Utapri, it's in E3. I'm sure there are more. Like, for once, can we just have the non-Japanese nerd be just that? Just a non-Japanese nerd who has to get their work visa or their study visa the normal way like the rest of us? Like, why do they all need to be royalty or super powerful people or something? Oh! Well, now that we kind of ended on a weird note there, let's go on to the next idol. We are changing groups to Toriga, Trigger, Ryu. Let's talk about Ryu. Ryu is actually my second favorite in the whole series, just after Yamato. We'll talk about him a bit later. I love how Ryu tries so hard to be who Gaku's dad wants him to be for the group, but then he eventually gets comfortable being both of his personas at the same time. Like, he can be his cute, friendly self, but then he can also switch on the sexy beast persona on cue, and I feel like there's a journey behind that, which we'll talk about in the unpopular opinion section. But yeah, Ryu is great, and also CV Sato is really, really good. Maybe you can tell from question 1, but I'm very, very Yume for Ryu, so no OTP. Well, actually, I have an OTP. My romantic OTP is Ryu and me. I do, however, enjoy the aesthetic of Ryuso. Not just the aesthetic, just the overall concept. They're really, really cute together. I'm okay with these two, but for the most part, my man. The answer to question 3 is all of Trigger. The way they know each other so well and respect each other's differences is amazing. They're a very well-written trio who can teach us a lot about working together for a collective goal, even if your colleagues are kind of, you know, annoying and quirky. I feel like Ryu's character growth could use just a little bit more appreciation, unless I'm just not seeing it in my fandom circles. His story isn't as dramatic or wild as characters like Yamato or Nagi or Riku, but Ryu slowly and steadily changes from an insecure island boy in the big scary city to a confident professional entertainer who can switch between his true self and his sexy beast persona on cue, which is really, really cool. I guess he needs to stay back a little because the name of the game is idolish7, not Trigger, but he's still a great example of how to do character growth correctly, and I love that he is just so confident in himself now as a character. Moving on, we are switching back to idolish7 and Yamato, and I know exactly who asked for yams, and they already know all of this, but Yamato is my absolute favorite in all of idolish7. I literally opened the game for the first time, I saw Yamato, I went, yep, him! I picked his card, and that was the start of a long love story, a long life story. A lot of stuff happened since I've met Yamato, and he's also the reason I know about Shirayusuke now, so really all good things all around. I'm super, super glad Yamato came into my life. Now I'm going to tear him apart. So, same as Ryu, my romantic OTP is Yamato and me. I'm very Yume for him. I love him very much, except I wouldn't actually want to date him in real life because of all that emotional baggage, unless maybe we met after part 4, after a lot of stuff was taken care of. In-game, sure. In real life, I'm gonna keep a little distance from the glasses man. Yamato and Mitsuki. Mitsuki is the answer here. I love their I help you, you help me friendship, and how they've shared their different approaches to life in a way that helps them both. Plus, it takes a lot of love to tell someone directly to their face that they're being an asshat, and Mitsuki brings that love to the fistfight in part 3. And I forgot who I'm talking about now. Am I talking about Yams or Mitsuki? But either way, they're super cute together. I love them together. Yamato deserved everything he got in the first half of part 3. Everything. I'm sorry, but he was acting like an asshole. He was being a horrible person, and he got exactly what was coming to him. And at least he learned from it and is, for the most part, no longer insufferable. And yes, I still loved him when he was an insufferable jerk in glasses, and I love him now as a less insufferable jerk in glasses. Look, I love jerks in glasses, okay? Personally, I love watching my favorite characters suffer, and wow, Yamato suffered, so thanks, idolish7. That was good. The whole first part of part 3 was just super good. But wow, did things go downhill from the second part of part 3, which actually brings us to the last character I got, Tsukumo Ryo. Unfortunately, he does not have a manju. Fortunately? Unfortunately? I don't know if I even want a manju of this guy. Okay, how do I phrase this so people don't throw rocks at me? In the fictional, keyword fictional, idolish7 world, Tsukumo is an absolutely horrible, terrifying person. As a reader experiencing and analyzing this work of fiction, so when you're looking inside from the outside, Tsukumo is fascinating because he's written to be so awful, and I'll talk more about that later when we get to the unpopular opinion. Let's just go through questions 2 and 3 really fast, because they're gonna be really fast. Dude, no, I don't even want to think about anyone being romantically involved with this monster, so next. None, because he doesn't deserve to be friends with any of the main cast, but maybe he can be friends with Tamaki's horrible father. Next, let's move along. Back to what I was talking about, and I'm putting this in the unpopular opinion section. Tsukumo is one of the best designed characters in all of idolish7, and just hear me out. From a creative perspective, it takes a lot of work to make a character that is so horrible and so despicable. It's very easy to make likable, silly, funny people like Riku and Nagi, but creating someone that people are meant to hate so much they want to throw their phones at the wall, or turn off their TVs, or go onto Twitter and write a massive thread about how problematic this character is, that is skill. This applies to Torao a lot too, actually, because he was also written to be a horrible, despicable character from the start. Obviously, he has turned into not that. And we see it with Kujo Takamasa as well, and this really needs to be commended. Heroes are only as good as the villains they need to take down, and Tsukumo is an amazing villain. Good job, those of you who made Tsukumo Ryo come to life. You did one of the hardest things in storytelling, and you did it incredibly well. And that is that. So we talked about Riku, Nagi... Wait, they're out of order. Oh! And that is that. So we talked about Riku, Nagi, Ryu, Yamato, and Tsukumo, and actually... Oh, sorry, did I just poke you in the eye? And that is that. We talked about Riku, Nagi, Ryu, Yamato, and Tsukumo via Torao, and we talked a little bit about Torao too, and okay, I'm not talking anymore, so let's wrap this up. Thank you very much for watching. The next group that's gonna come up is Hypnosis Mike, and I got a lot of Hypnosis Mike characters, so that's gonna be a fun one. Until that time comes, why don't you go ahead and watch whatever pops up here, stick around, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!